It's the 30th anniversary of the day that Freddie Mercury died after a long battle with AIDS. The Queen star, who was 45 at the time, slipped away at his beloved home, Garden Lodge, in Kensington, London, having been diagnosed in 1987. And his partner Jim Hutton, who died from lung cancer in 2010 aged just 60, documented Freddie's final days, sharing the grief and agony that were sprinkled with moments of love and joy. In the month before his death, the couple holidayed to Switzerland. But on their return, it was clear to Jim that Freddie's condition was deteriorating. Once back at Garden Lodge, the singer took to his bed where he slept and watched television with a rotation of trusted friends including Jim and his ex-girlfriend, Mary Austin. Despite reports claiming Freddie's bedroom was turned into a mini-hospital, Jim said the only sign of illness was a drip stand by the bed in case the star needed a blood transfusion. According to Jim's account in his autobiography, Mercury and Me, Freddie decided to stop taking all medication apart from painkillers 2 weeks before his death. As he grew weaker, he also stopped eating solid foods, consuming only fruit and fruit juices. Witnessing the star vanishing before their eyes, Jim said there was some debate about removing the wedding ring he had given to Freddie in case his fingers swelled after had gone. But Freddie was adamant that it stay, and was even cremated with it. It was on Thursday, November 21st that Jim realized his time with Freddie was coming to an end. It was the last time the ailing star managed to muster the strength to appear at his bedroom window and shout cooey to Jim as he tended the garden. Jim wrote, "I knew that the end was very near. That night I took special care of him. He dozed and I lay next to him on top of the bed. He only had to elbow me gently and I'd be awake if he wanted anything." When dawn broke, I was already wide awake, quietly watching television. Freddie was still asleep, cuddled inside my arm and holding onto my hand. Every so often he'd softly squeeze it. "Do you love me?" he'd asked when he woke. More than ever he wanted to hear how much he was treasured. "Yes, I love you," I whispered and kissed him on the forehead. On the morning of November 24th, Freddie woke at 6 a.m. and spoke what would be his last 2 words, "Pee, pee." After helping the terribly weak start to the toilet, Jim carried him back to the bed. But as he lowered him, he heard a deafening crack. It sounded like one of Freddie's bones breaking, cracking like the branch of a tree. He screamed out in pain and went into a convulsion, Jim said of the heartbreaking scenes. As Freddie slipped off into sleep, the doctor arrived and stayed with him all afternoon and into the evening. As soon as he left, Jim went to join Freddie, who indicted that he needed the toilet. Uncertain about carrying him after the awful events of the morning, Jim went to get help. But by the time he returned, he said Freddie had had an accident. And it was as he changed the sheets and put his partner into clean clothes that Freddie made his final motion before passing away. Jim recalled, "As I was changing Freddie into a clean t-shirt and pair of boxer shorts, I felt him try to raise his left leg to help a little. It was the last thing he did. I looked down at him, knowing he was dead." Devastated, Jim took Freddie in his arms and kissed him. His eyes were still open, but the pain and suffering had disappeared from his face. "I can remember the expression on his face, and when I go to sleep every night, it's still there in front of me," Jim continued. He looked radiant. One minute he was a boy with a gaunt, sad little face, and the next he was a picture of ecstasy. Freddie's whole face went back to everything it had been before. He looked finally and totally at peace. Seeing him like that made me happy in my sadness. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. I knew that he was no longer in pain. There was a wind-up carriage clock by the bed that Jim had given to Freddie, and he stopped the flywheel at the exact time of his passing. It read 12 minutes past 7, he added. "I've never started it again." Or call us direct 0207 29 33 033.